Y'all want to see what we're doing for Cosmic Ghost Rider? Just because I think that Cosmic Ghost Rider he's either a shiny trap or he's going to just like bust the meta in like whole different billion different directions. So we should do a good or garbage on Cosmic Ghost Rider. And for those who do not know, good or garbage is the rating system and series that we do here. So I make 4 decks for the new card. We talk about it before the card releases. Then we go into what those decks are, the idea behind those decks, and then later on in the video, we fast forward to after all the gameplay to take a look at the results of how those decks did and how I felt playing Cosmic Ghost Rider or whatever the new card is to help you decide, is he good or garbage? Is he worth your tokens? Should you get him right away? Just to find out, is he, you know, a must-have card or is he a must-skip card? Let's dive into it. You know, let's go take a look at it. Let's go take a look. There is, please, I beg of you, nerf me. That's the name of the deck. This should be a no-brainer. I hate that this deck is something that is going to exist, so I had to I couldn't put all of the evil together. I just couldn't. I couldn't put all of the evil together. I almost did. The only thing that makes this thing more evil is taking out Nova, who I put in here for fun. You know, fun? What this deck prevents, right? And it could either be Juggernaut or Fenris Wolf. But you know what? I didn't want to be that evil. So I decided instead, let's make it more fun by taking the elements of what we see currently popular with the Quicksilver, Domino, Wiccan builds, and then lean into it with Cosmic Ghost Rider shenanigans and Wiccan. So it's going to be easy to get Wiccan out. You got a couple of 3s to work with. Otherwise, you should end up with another 1 and a 2. I played the Killmonger Nova thing because everybody likes more power, and a lot of people are playing these cards, and sometimes 1 more power is really all you need. So, look, I don't want this deck to be good, but when you have a card that's going to release as a 5/7, on reveal, remove the text from front row enemy cards here. You got to think about what the card is representing. It's a potential lane winner. You know, a lot of people like to play their setup cards. Your Madam Webs, your Thenas, your Angelas, your that kind of stuff. They all are your setup cards. And Cosmic Ghost Rider is a hard counter because it just straight up removes the text. Text is gone. Based on my understanding of that, it should convert it to a no ability. There's a chance that it doesn't because it might treat it like deep space, but I don't think that's the case. We're going to find out in a few hours. But to my understanding, it's a no ability card, because it's like Red Guardian in that aspect. It removes the ability. Either way, you're going to see versions of this do well, and for all the right reasons, because it's stupid powerful. Are there ways to combat it? Sure. There are whole decks that are built around combating this style of deck, because it is the most powerful deck in the game. So I'm not saying that this is original. Me throwing Nova in here, that's original. That's it. But outside of that, I feel like let's actually try something kind of different. So that's where I ended up here with what I'm calling 2 cubes at a time. It's your Profex lockdown deck. So yes, chances are this deck will literally only win 2 cubes at a time, because you're trying to either do the Storm, War Machine, Legion shenanigans, or you're trying to do the Profex lockdown and Storm shenanigans. There's a couple of things you can do here, right? Kind of, sort of, right? So you have several different lines to work with. You have your lockdown line, you have your control line, and you have, let's go ahead and get a 5-drop ramped out line. That's your Luna Snow into Cosmic Ghost Rider, into Legion, or into Profex. And then go ahead and play your War Machine and just drop whatever you need to in there. I think that there are going to be versions of this that Cosmic Ghost Rider is going to feel as really just a flexible card. This is probably the 12th card in this deck, to be completely honest. I think that you're always looking for good 5s for Luna Snow to ramp into. And I do think Cosmic Ghost Rider is one of them, especially if you're hitting a card early on, like your opponent's Surge. Hitting it on turn 4 is much better than hitting it on turn 5, right? So that's the kind of stuff to keep an eye out for. And then that's where I had stopped building decks, because I realized this is such a conditional tech card, and it reminded me, it reminded me a lot of that guy, Legion, right? Where it's just a good solid 5-drop, and it's a flexible-ish kind of 5-drop. So when are you going to play this card? After this week? No idea, but a lot of people are going to play it this week. So the other 2 decks I decided to build are literally playing into the fact that other people are going to play Cosmic Ghost Rider. Nice Cosmic Ghost Rider you got there. Here's the idea behind this deck, okay? It's playing into cards that typically don't care if they're in the front line or they don't interact with the front line, right? For example, Cosmo. They can't activate it on Cosmo. That's fine. You put a Lizard in that lane. Go ahead, turn that ability off. You put a Starbrand in that lane. Go ahead, turn it off. Totally cool with that. Fine by me. You do you, man. You want to turn that off and get rid of the negative sign? Fine by me. So I built a Surtur Sauron deck, and I'm going to have the Cosmic Ghost Rider in there as my tech piece. So instead of playing the Enchantress, which is typically very good with this style of deck, I decided to play Cosmic Ghost Rider as the big 5. Iron Patriot is probably the flexible card here, but I like having a little bit of unknown in a deck that's typically very consistent with this. Luna Snow is a very fun card here, specifically with Cosmic Ghost Rider, because when it puts, and we see this in the other deck too, where if it puts the cube on the other side and you disable it, it's a win-win scenario. So I like the disabling of the ice cube and then just basically turning it into a rock on your opponent's side so it doesn't destroy. That's always fun if you have no other things to do. Keyword, if you have no other things to do. And based on the question in the chat, it should only work with revealed cards because it has to see what the text of those cards are. For example, how could it disable a Cosmo that's turned upside down? I don't think that that makes sense for me to think that it's going to hit unrevealed cards. Typically cards don't, unless if they specifically state this affects unrevealed cards too, like Juggernaut says. So because it doesn't say that, it should only be revealed cards. I think that a deck like this week is very powerful because you can play Sauron, Zero, Iron Patriot, and Lizard, and Starbrand. So 6 of the cards out of this deck early with no concerns. No problems. And then later you want to play the Armor and the Surtur after you get the first 2 cards in a lane down. Because then you're not worried about it. You're protecting your cards from a meta that's going to show a higher use of Cosmic Ghost Rider than any other week that the meta will have Cosmic Ghost Rider. So why not lean into it? Similarly, here's the last one. It's called It's Like You're My Mirror. Whoa. And it's a Patriot deck. So the whole point of this deck is to not play Dr. Doom. That's the whole goal of the deck. Your goal is to not play Dr. Doom. It's a Patriot deck, so it's meant to be ramping out the other cards, get the Dr. Doom out in other ways, and then put cards that don't care if they have no abilities down. Wasp, Sinister Clones, Broodlings, Luna Snow, go ahead. Opponent, disable my Ice Cube, please. Let me add 2 power onto it. Not a problem. I'm okay with that because I've also got ways to get my Mockingbird down for extra power. I've got ways to ramp out my own Cosmic Ghost Rider to battle you. And then simultaneously, if I use my Cosmic Ghost Rider on 4 because I ramped it out with Luna Snow, okay, I can blink it into Dr. Doom. Or to save cost, I can play Patriot plus Astral Projection on turn 6 and get the Doom bots out. So this is a cheeky, I'm just playing around you style Patriot build. This will probably only be good for like a week. That's it. It's, again, specifically meant to just combat the meta that will have Cosmic Ghost Rider in its launch week. So how it fares in the first couple of test games, I don't know. The game mechanics of how this works, we're going to have to find out together. But I do think that this style of defense is something to factor in going into this week. So there it is, Cosmic Ghost Rider. Very fun, unique tech card. I really like how this card is built. Hopefully we get, you know, the results we're looking for here. So this is that moment where the video fast forwards and all of a sudden we end up in the world of the future where we've now tested the card. We've tested all these decks. We've gone up against it. And what do we think? Ooh, hey, and just like that, we are now, how many hours? 4.5 hours. Nope, that's a photo. That's a thing. And that's a phone. There you go. every time I look at it. You get the idea. It's 4.5 hours later for me after testing. I know it's time flew by, but we need to look at the results of the 5 decks that I ended up testing. I did make a bonus deck, so hold on and we'll talk about it. Let's just go right into the results. I think that's the easiest way to do it. Okay, let's take a look here. So the results are 2 cubes at a time did the best. In that shell with the option between Legion, Cosmic Ghost Rider, and Professor X, overall felt pretty good. I had several moments in that specific deck where it was comfortable to have flexibility. Whether it was Luna Snow or Surge, having flexibility on turn 4 to put down one of the 5 drops or go down the War Machine line really felt solid. I really did like that. I think there's something in this shell, might want to tweak it a little bit more. I don't know if it necessarily needs the Storm lockdown line. Maybe it's just throw in another ramp card, which I'll explain why in a second. But something along this shell with 2 cubes at a time felt really good. Again, I'm well aware these are 10 game sample sizes. I'm well aware of that. These are not decks I'm going to say right off the bat in this current condition for any of these decks that these are absolutely fantastic and meta breaking and you need to have this card right away because of these decks. That's not what this is. This is looking at how the decks performed, as well as in the shell, when I even had the moment to play the card, did I opt to? Because that brings us to, please nerf this, I dare you, okay? I did not have a good run technically. However, it's an option, okay? You're going to see versions of this right away. Nova actually was the most impressive part of that entire deck. Hands down. The Nova play is something I think we need to be looking at in that deck outside of the Cosmic Ghost Rider. It's the hot card of the moment. It's a tech card to combat certain things for the moment. It's an option. Is it a necessary option for that deck? Absolutely not. But does it fit into that deck? 100% it does. So keep an eye on that type of shell, whether it's the Wiccan shell or just the full-on cringe deck. Something of that shape is going to absolutely, arise. In regards to nice CGR you got there, the Sauron that just don't. Okay, moving on. And then it definitely did not feel right in that deck. And then lastly, it's like you're my mirror. Okay, so this was the playing into the Patriot side of things. I wasn't sure how this was going to go, if it was going to have your cards, if the opponent's Cosmic Ghost Rider were to remove abilities, would it turn them like a deep space where it doesn't recognize the ability, but it doesn't get a buff? Or does it get the buff because it goes to a no ability little hazard sign drawn on there? And that's what it does. It does do that. In this week, some variation of this type of zoo definitely will be good. It's a good way to kind of play around people who are playing Cosmic Ghost Rider. I did like parts of this deck. I liked the blink ramp in here. I liked the flexibility of using those 5s that way. But big asterisk here. What I mainly got out of those 4 decks was the impression of, if I looked at 2 cubes at a time and I looked at the strength of Please Nerf This, I Dare You, and then the strength of It's Like You're My Mirror, the consistent thing that I felt was this wants you to build a deck that is about 5 cost cards. Just like how you would build a Zabu deck with several 4s, at least 3 4s in the deck, we might be in a moment where we can do that with 5s comfortably. So I thought about a couple of different variations how to do it. We talked about it here in the chat. And even though I messed up the build on the first 3 games because I just built it and forgot to take out Legion for Cosmic Ghost Rider in this build, this I called disposable 5s. Now, it was playing into the idea of, well, you can ramp anything on turn 4 and it'll feel good. If you ramp the Sarah, great. Infinity Ultron, great. Reduce the spells cost for Agamotto using the Quinjet line, great. Then you've got ramp cards in there. You've got energy from Merlin, who's getting rid of the M'Baku and the Psylocke and the used up Jennifer Kale, and then throw in Psylocke and Jennifer Kale, obviously, for extra energy. So you have multiple ways to get energy by turn 4. And then, and of course, Luna Snow, who is the MVP of this card. If you want this card, you have to have Luna Snow. I will confidently say that. She was the MVP to this card. The deck actually has a lot of potential. It's going to take some refining, but it has a lot of potential. I don't know if it's too much with the Agamotto line and just run the 3 5-drops, or kind of lean into it a little more. But as I played this deck, I realized how many flexible options there were within it. That's the thing that I loved. And I think that's the future of what Marvel Snap wants to be. And that's the future of what this card wants to be, is in a ramp power 5-drop style deck. That's the archetype I'm going to lean more into with Cosmic Ghost Rider. But the big question remains. Is not you, thing. No, you've had your time. The big question remains. Is it good or is it garbage? Based on the results of what I've played with the card, I'm going to call it good, but different. It is a tech card. It is an incredibly flexible tech card that will go into several builds that allow energy ramp, not cheat necessarily, but definitely energy ramp. And I know there are cards data mined for the future that are also going to facilitate that want for energy ramp, not energy cheat. I think that this card has potential. Is it perfect in the first 4 hours? By all means, no. But I have a feeling that in the hands of other creators, other community members, by the end of the week, we're going to see some meta looking decks that are running this as a tech card. If I'm going to give it a comparison to anything, it's going to compare incredibly well to Legion. It's just that good 5-drop that messes the board up, and it's going to be a good card for that reason, which is why it gets so much more value in a deck that wants extra energy into it. Wiccan decks, the Merlin piece, Jennifer Kale, etc., etc., etc. I do think that this card is worth picking up because it's also going to be a card that is a great release valve during certain metas. If we start seeing a bunch of these stack up metas, well, just throw this in there and disable the important lane. Wong, for example, typically wants to be in that front lane. Obviously, Captain Carter typically wants to be in that front lane. This is a great tech card to have in your arsenal in the same way that Legion was. And just like how Legion released, we didn't know what Legion was going to truly be on release. And then he absolutely exploded. I think there was hype behind this character, Cosmic Ghost Rider, but I don't know if we have the right ideas, even based on the research going into this card, other people that have been deck building with it, and even the commentary here in the chat and the different compositions that we saw from our opponents. It didn't feel polished yet, but I have an incredibly strong feeling that this is a tech card that will find a polished home. So I'm going to give it the good rating, with the understanding that we just need a little bit more time with it. So what do you plan on doing now, seeing some of the different things that we experimented with Cosmic Ghost Rider? To you, is this card good or garbage? Let me know down in the comments below. And as always, while you're there, hit the like button. If you haven't hit subscribe, go ahead and do that as well. Thank you all so much. I greatly appreciate it. And for those who do not know, my name is Guest, also known as ItsGuestGaming. See you next time.